Hi guys, Ronnie here and welcome to the workshop. Today I have received my new time trial wheelset from HED for my also new Colnago time trial bike. But more about the bike later as it's not in its final configuration yet. But the wheels are pretty exciting news for me. The Vanquish series has been around for 7 years almost, so it was due for an update. And me personally have been using them since 2020. And if you've been watching my channel from the years before that, you know that I've tried many different wheel brands, but since then I'm stuck with HED just because I really love the product, how it performs, the durability, and all the details. Another good thing about them is they don't really jump into things that don't work, trends and fads like hookless, for example. So yeah, I really appreciate the fact that they design the wheels the way they do, and that's why I'm still on them. So yeah, you might say I've been sponsored by them for the past few years, but if I wasn't, I would buy them anyway, because honestly in this day and age I can't really see or recommend a different version for my customers, because yeah, with Zip and MV on hookless, that's a no-no for me. And well, the other brands, they just don't have the aerodynamic prowess or the stability or the durability of these. So let's talk about the wheelset that I have here for this bike in particular. As you can see, it's already equipped with the older Vanquish 6s. I had that for training, but now it's time to upgrade it to my wheels that I'll be using as my race wheels. So this is the new V84 Pro. The naming scheme got a little bit more simple. So the 84 of course implies the rim depth. This has been increased from 80 millimeters and has a slightly updated shape. Also, they've improved their molding process, so now we get a beautiful gloss finish without any actual lacquer to cover it up. There are some imperfections, but I think it adds to the beauty of it. So it's a raw carbon product, really nice, and also it's handmade in Minnesota in the US. So that's also fairly unique these days. The rim shape itself is also slightly wider, although not extremely wide like many manufacturers go to. The internal rim width goes from 21.8 millimeters, I believe, in the old one to 22.4, so slight change, slight difference there. And the external is a bit over 31 millimeters. So to be honest, these wheels were up to date in 2017 when they were released, and they still work today. So really, it's a tweak, an update to get a little bit less aero drag and a little bit more crosswind stability, which already was excellent. So I'm really looking forward to testing these out. And also because of the molding process, the trailing edge of the rim is also much smoother, much nicer, and just generally a better finish. Weight-wise, of course, there hasn't been too much of a difference. This is not a brand that's focused on making super lightweight wheels, because those look good on paper and in the catalog, but not so much in the real world. In the real world, what matters is aerodynamics first and foremost, and that's where they're the top performance. Really, they're just one of the fastest wheels around, and this should be even faster than the previous version. So the configuration of this front wheel is pretty traditional. So you have 24 J-bend spokes, Sapim CX rays, of course, and the hub is unchanged from the previous version. This is the HED Sonic hub, and it uses 6902 bearings, which I really love, because a lot of brands, in order to search for lightweight, go for tiny bearings which are not very durable or stiff. And these are just nice and sturdy. And the good thing is that if you have a Shimano free hub, then all 6 bearings in the wheel set are identical in terms of size and specs, so it's very easy to keep spares. As you would expect, it uses a center lock interface for the disc rotor, which is standard nowadays, and it uses a 12 by 100 millimeter through axle fitment, although it does come with interchangeable end caps. However, these days there's no other standard really probably thankfully. So this is the one that the wheels ship with. What you do get in the box is of course the wheels. You get some really nice quality rim tape. I really like this one. However, this time it comes pre-applied, which is a big plus because in the past it didn't. So I like that improvement, and also the application itself is really nice and smooth, and it's perfectly adhered. So I'm a big fan of that. And also they get their proprietary valves. Now most brands comes with valves that are not very good, to be honest, but these are just perfect. As you can see, the rim bed is perfectly shaped to match the rubber insert and the seal on the valve, so it creates a really good fit. However, as a precaution, we do fit nowadays some silicone glue around the valve. We do this for all wheels, so this is just a precaution, as I said, for a better seal. And as you can see, I've done this already because we wanted to have the wheels rolling by the afternoon, and this takes a couple of hours to dry. So that's been done. Another thing I do, a little trick I've shown you already on my Instagram videos, but just a quick sum up, is that I apply some super glue on the end of the rim tape so it can't come off. That's also just a precaution to improve the tubeless setup. So that's the front wheel. Then let's look at the disc. Possibly the favorite of most cyclists, and yeah, I would agree it's the best looking one. Particularly the time trial bike. Without it, it looks pretty naked, should I say. This has also been slightly revised. So the previous Vanquish disc has used the V60 rim as the base, or the whole wheel in fact. This uses the new 62, of course, so slightly different profile, again slightly wider rim, and the shaping is also subtly different. This side is a bit flatter, which is good because I had, with the oversized pulley wheels, I had some clearance issues in the biggest cog with the old one, so maybe that's solved, we'll see. Another thing is the valve cutout has been moved and redesigned, so now you no longer need to fiddle around with the valve and a spacer to be able to tighten it. Now it's cut out exactly in the way, so you can just tighten it like so without needing any spacers. It's just a regular valve with regular access to it, so that's another nice feature. On the non-drive side, quite the contrary to the other one, this side looks a bit more bulbous than before, and also the cover seems to go a bit higher up. Now many people wonder why use just a covered spoked wheel instead of a full-on structural disc, and many people assume that this is somehow worse or lower tier, but exactly the opposite is true. The reason why these covers are not structural is because it allows them to be made in a shape that would be really unstable if it was structural. So this way the shape is much more pronounced, and thus better aerodynamic efficiency can be achieved, which with the disc wheel of course is a primary concern. So that's the reason. If you were not aware of that, now you know. And the other great thing about HED disc wheels is, unlike many other brands like Aerocoach and Roval and Zip, they're actually really sturdy. And I can talk about this from experience because I've been using many different brands and my customers have been using different brands, and they just can take a beating. This cover is, as you can see, it's a weave type of carbon, so really strong, and it's not super thin. Again, not to save 10 grams, it's really quite sturdy. If you hit it, if you crash with it, it just can survive quite a lot of abuse. So I believe that's also an important consideration if you're talking about a wheel that costs, well, upwards of 2,500 euros. So that's a nice thing. Again, the hub design is exactly the same as previously, and again, that's a great thing. So it's pretty traditional in construction. So you have, in this case, a Shimano free hub on there. Again, nice big 6902 bearings. I'm going to talk about those in a bit more detail in a moment. We get a solid axle design, which is really stiff with threaded end caps, so no possibility of squashing the bearings together like with some other wheel designs. Princeton. And another thing that I really like about the bearings is they use a traditional 5-pole design with very quick engagement, so that's cool. But the other cool thing is that unlike many other drivetrain or free hub systems, it has a really low drag as well, which helps, of course, when descending at speed. Now, for extra protection, they also have rubber seal rings on both sides. However, this will be my time trial race wheel set. I'm not really going to be riding it in poor conditions, hopefully, so that's something I usually remove for a wheel like this. And the valve, as you can see, already pre-glued and the tape already secured with super glue. So that's the wheel set. Now we're ready to basically set it up, put it on the bike, and hopefully test it in the next few days to see if it's faster, you get a lower CDA, etc. So let's get to work, install everything, and then we'll be ready to go. Hi guys, just a quick interlude. Earlier today I've uploaded all of the new HED Vanquish series wheels in my webshop. So if you're interested in getting them, you can get them through us. We ship worldwide, hassle-free, and this also supports me as an athlete and the videos we do and my small business. So I really appreciate if you consider the option if you do like HED wheels. And now back to the video. Another thing that I wanted to mention, because many people have been asking. As you can see, my wheels always have white HED decals on them. Why is that? I'm a sponsored athlete. HED needs, and basically every other brand needs, their branding to be visible, and there's no better way to do that on a wheel. And I also really like the look, it matches my bikes, so that's how it is. However, if you look at the HED website, what you will see is these. The new V series use this, I don't know, gray kind of metallic decal, which is very nice indeed. However, many people are asking me if they can get the white ones because they're not on the website. Well, the short answer is yes. If you ask HED, then they will ship them with the white decals. However, the default is this one. And usually when I stock the wheels in my shop, they also come with these. So it's really just a matter of choice. But yeah, if you want, you can get them with whites. And if you don't like this one, you can also get them with black, the regular ones that they used to ship with. So it's just a regular decal, so it's not painted on. As I mentioned already, it's a raw finish, raw carbon, without any cosmetic touches. So you get an option of decals. And if you want something even more special, we offer a custom decal service for not just HED wheels, but all kinds of wheels. And I will link that in the description below. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is to replace the bearings with the ceramic ones. And for that, I need to remove the end caps, which are tool-free, like that, just held with a rubber O-ring, the other ones as well. As you can see, this hub has a proper internal spacer to prevent the inner races of the bearings to be squashed together, unlike some other hub designs. Princeton. Let's just do that. Sometimes the interface, however, is really tight, so it can be tricky to get the bearings out. So we'll see how it goes. I like clamping the wheel in the center lock section. However, it's a thin piece of aluminum, so you don't want to use too much force for that. Only just to get it going. And I'm going to use the sliding hammer, hopefully, to get the bearings out. I like this tool, except the fact that it's presented nowhere on it which spanners you actually need, so it's trial and error, but if I remember once, then I'll write it all down. To prevent this, I need to make sure it's tight so it has grip on the bearing. Okay, let's see. This is a tool not commonly used in cycling, but it's quite handy. It's a reverse hammer essentially, which pulls instead of pushing. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to look like. Now the other one is easy because that will just fall out to the other side. For that we need an actual hammer. Okay, that's it. Regular bearings out. And now the ceramics in. One thing that's worth keeping an eye on is that you want to position the bearings in a way that the open part of the inner guide or the ball spacer is in a way that you can actually service them and put grease in them. So I want that facing inwards so it doesn't prevent greasing. And on these bearings they're marked with these little etchings, so it's easy to do. And to install them I'm just going to use the bearing press. The small one is enough for this. Just like so. Make sure they're both facing the right way. The spacer in between, and then I can just pull them together into the hub. Okay, this one is not all the way in because the tool bottomed out. So we're going to add a little extra there. Need to make sure they're rolling freely, that it's not too tight and bind it up, but looking good. Okay, now we do the same thing with the rear wheel. In the meantime, we also put on the tires just to swap them from a different wheel set, and to not spill the sealant, we put them straight here. So that's already done. Not so interesting anyway. So let's do this one. The rear hub, of course, is a different construction. So we need to remove the threaded end cap, 17mm spanner, like that. Now we can access the free hub, like so. And you also need to be careful to not lose the little washer. From here, it sits in between. As you can see, standard 5-pole design, same spacer in between them. And this is the seal ring that we're going to remove. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Need to remove the bearings just really quickly and be good to go. This is the axle, we'll set that aside. And again, I'm going to clamp the wheel, the center lock interface. Like so, good old hammer again. Okay, bearing is out, together with the spacer. Now we swap to the other side. Here I need to place a rag here, just so I don't ruin this little lip that suits or houses the seal ring for the free hub. Or I could also do it with the reverse hammer as before, but it's not very tight fit, so this one should do. Now we have no bearings in the wheel, no damage. That's good news. I will take the 2 ceramic bearings and the spacer, put them right in. And just like before, exactly the same thing over here. Like that. Just to double check. Spacer should be in there without too much play, but also it should be loose. And the bearings spin nice and freely. So everything is exactly as it should be. And as you can see, together with the bearing, I tapped out some seal ring from the non-drive side. And now it's time for the free hub. It's the last portion of the bearing change. Also done very easily, the same way as before. So just a few taps. There you go. Same kind of spacer, just a smaller one. For the other side. Again, a rag, so I don't lose the poles. They tend to fall out when you tap the free hub. This should prevent that. There you go. And also the seal ring fell out, so that's good. Now the ceramic bearings, make sure I don't put in the same ones. There we go. Again, same, everything goes in there. That's it, free hub is ready. Just double check, and then we can reassemble the wheel. So the way I do that, usually I take the axle, as it also has a slotted interface. It's most practical to just grab it right here with the vise. Then I like to put on some waterproof paste, just so the bearings don't sit straight on the metal, like so. Now take the wheel, quite literally. Very nice tight interface, so it doesn't get play. It's a good sign. Of course, don't forget the spacer, like so. And now the free hub. Clicked in, working nicely. It's all well and good. And now here I like to apply some thread lock, just so that the tension on the bearings doesn't change. I like to use a high strength one for this, because you can't really tighten it with too much force and still you don't want it to change the orientation. So a dab of this. I would prefer ideally for it to have a little grub screw so you can secure it, but this basically does the same job. Yeah, again, this is a race wheel, so you want as little axial load as possible. So I think slightly more than hand tight, like so. Will be just perfect. Yeah, very nice. Okay, now as the wheel is mounted like this, it's a good time to install the cassette as well. So I'll go ahead with that one. Again, some waterproof paste on the body, just so they don't bite into each other, and so you can easily remove it to prevent metal on metal contact. Now I already have this prepared, so it just slides on with this little mount. Final piece. It's a nice thing with these new 12-speed Shimano cassettes that they have these little markings, so you can actually see where to put it. Just like that. Lock ring. Tighten it down, 40 Newton meters. Very important. Just like that. Now we need the brake rotors fitted on both wheels, sorry, and good to go. As you can see, the bearings still have quite a lot of grease in them, which is good for training, and for races I'll just remove that and put in some lighter weight grease for even less resistance. And now for the rotors. You need to be very careful with these because the spline here is very shallow. And for that reason, I just use this old school spanner to tighten them instead of the newer style socket wrenches, because those tend to just slide off it. This one is nice and flat, so you can get a good grip. Of course, try to do it up with 40 Newton meters. Should be good enough. Now it's ready to go in the bike. Actually, before I do that, I apply some brake cleaner, as I've been touching it with my oily hands. It's always a good idea to clean off. Okay. Rear wheel, good to go. Now it's the front. And we can go on. You need to make sure to put the rotor the correct way up. So it has this ingress for the safety sheet, basically. As you can see, this has these recesses. It did not grabs onto, so it can't get loose that easily. It's a safety feature similar to Nordlock. Okay, that's good enough. I always make sure to tighten the wheel to a certain preset torque, just so you don't mess up the brake alignment. But since it's a different wheel, I'm going to need to change that. Okay, the wheel is installed. I've adjusted the shifting, I've adjusted the brake, but as you can see, there's quite a bit of imbalance in the wheel. So in the next few weeks, I'm going to correct that by using counterweights, but I don't have those. I ran out of those at the moment, so we'll do that for a future episode, but I'm going to show you how to do it. If you like to see that, then subscribe to the channel. Okay, now let's do the same thing on the front wheel. Okay guys, so the wheels are ready except for the balancing. As I said, we'll do that in a few days when the tapes arrive. Other than that, I think it looks pretty cool. Certainly the bike looked a bit naked without a disc wheel and a deep front, so that's fixed. Over the next few weeks, we'll be doing aero testing just to confirm my position and also the performance of the new wheels, so we have some comparisons. So stay tuned for that, and let me know what you think about the bike in this specification. I think the white head logos match the white logos on the frame, and it's a pretty cohesive package as is. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.